Hello, welcome to Americana Quill, Writer to Writer. This show is brought to you by nobody. With that said, help us grow by pressing the like button on YouTube or subscribing on the platform that you choose to listen to, and tell a friend that scribes. This young man is someone I've known for over 10 years. He is someone that knows how to make it happen no matter what's going on. We talk about our business structures and different philosophies very much, and on how to grow and prosper. He's a freelance writer who contributes to Yahoo Sports and a few other platforms. He is well versed in sports and started his journey as a writer and eventually springboarded into other mediums and media with his own podcast called The Black Bookie, where he gives advice on how to gamble responsibly for anyone 21 and over. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome James Carter, aka Uncle Joe. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
Nah, thank you for doing this for me. I really appreciate that. You want me to
Absolutely.
read the motto too, so people can know where to find you at the Black Bookie, any platform, I would believe, for podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. The podcast, the Snooze Lose podcast, available on all streaming platforms. Follow us on Twitter at the Black Bookie, Instagram at the Black Bookie, Facebook Uncle Joe. Download the Black Bookie app and win together, lose together.
Absolutely. So, how are you doing mentally and emotionally during these times of the COVID that we're living in right now, or like the pandemic?
It was definitely rough in the beginning. I don't mind staying home that much.
Right.
It's always
Same.
being in. See, the thing is too, people don't understand. Like I've had friends that I haven't seen recently before COVID, and I always just explain to them like, "Yo, man, I pay rent. Like, I pay
Right.
rent, so I'm gonna milk every penny that I use at my house. I'm like, you guys are always more than welcome, but." I'm pay rent every month, so I'm at the crib. I got everything I need at the crib. It's safe. There's no crime going on. I could drink what I want. I don't have to worry about anything like that. So
Right.
I always tell people, I feel like people that still live at home don't understand that. So I didn't mind being at home too much, but the problem that really started to affecting me was being home and having no sports. That's when it started becoming a
Right.
drag.
I think also it's not only just living on your own; it's leaving the neighborhood you grow up in. Sometimes it makes it
Yeah.
difficult for people to be like, "Damn, he really don't on the block no more, hanging out with us." It's like, nah, like
Right. Right.
I'm not coming
Yeah.
back
But even
after my
people
job. Like I have other
Yeah, right,
responsibilities that
exactly. And
I'm
then even
taking.
people I grew up with, I tell them all the time, like, yo, man, my door is always open. Like, obviously, give me a heads up, but you're more than
Right.
welcome to come through. Luckily, I have a lovely girlfriend that's not crazy like that, so she doesn't mind
Right.
my friends coming over.
Which
But
is
yeah,
dope.
people just they love to stay where they're at. It's not like
Right.
I'm far either, 20 minutes, but they just don't want to move. So it is what it is. You can't That's one thing too. I always tell people, no matter what you're doing, whether it's business or life, whatever, you can't get back time. So don't wait for anybody. Do what you got to do. Snooze, you lose is one of our other mottos, and it's absolutely true. Whether it's gambling, whether it's life, relationships, whatever it is, time waits for no man. Every day,
That's
24
a
hours
fact.
go by.
That's a fact. So tell explain to me more because I know that me and you collaborated on you gave me notes as a script when I was trying to learn screenwriting and different aspects of what you thought my script could be better for, which I thank you to this day because it definitely helped provide like a great skeleton of how to produce a better script than I was thinking from one of my books called The Dreamer. And you were very instrumental in that, so I know you were very creative. You have a very creative spirit and things. What made you fall in love with writing? Was it just sports, or was there more to you loving that craft?
Um, it was more so I was better at it than math. In school I wasn't great at math, so I was a better writer. I was better in English. I got better
Right.
even in my SATs. I did better in the writing and English department than I did in the math department. So it wasn't. I wouldn't say I was like super in love with it, but I was better at it. So I worked on it and I did get good at it. And I did like writing about sports, because that's where my passion was. But and like every other kid too, I tried to rap for a little bit. So even like writing poetry and things like that. So it
Right.
was cool. I mean, if I could have been a great feature artist, because I was good for one verse, but I couldn't put together a whole song. I
I
could
felt
give you
like
a great six.
right. I felt like pen to paper. I was a shit, and then when I heard my voice, I was
Yeah.
like, "Say go."
The voice
So
wasn't the
that
problem for me. I had the voice. I've always, I've been doing radio for a while, so I had the voice.
right,
It was just the hook, the
right.
verses. It's a lot. It's more than what people think. I mean, I know the music is not where it is
We're-
when we were
but
growing
when
up,
we were
but
kids, absolutely.
yeah, exactly. You had to actually really be nice. You had to
And
put full songs
you
together.
better find that beat, motherfucker, if you want,
Right. Yeah,
to be on point.
you had to really have a full completed song. So,
Right.
but yes, it was just I was better at it than I was in other things. So
Okay.
that's definitely where my passion was at.
And was that right when I said you contributed to Yahoo Sports? Was there other places you contributed some articles to?
That was the main one. Yeah, that was the main one. X and Fox Sports.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Um, will you ever think about writing a sports book? Because I know we have a mutual friend that wrote a sports book.
Yeah, we've actually talked about it a few times. I definitely do want to do it. I think that's definitely a bucket list thing I want to do. Not really even so much for it to sell or anything like that. Just something to do. Before I die, I definitely do want to do that in the next few years. I think I definitely want to make it a goal, make it a bucket list. It was
Right.
gonna be called the purest game, and we were gonna talk about baseball and everything like that, and how every other sport, baseball gets a lot of slack for how it's behind the times and it's a slower game and everything like that. But every other sport has had to change their rules to keep up with the American public. And baseball has never changed the rules. The ball's same size, the bat's same size, the fields are the same size for the most part. So, besides for that little steroid scandal, um, it really has been the only game that's stuck to its guns with
Right.
its originality.
Well, it's truly America's pastime, right? It's like
Right.
it really sticks with that. And that was that the first sport you truly loved as far as
Yeah,
playing it?
that was my dad took me to Shea Stadium as a kid. My whole family's big Met fans. So that was always my love and passion was definitely baseball.
So tell me how you transitioned from the journalism aspect of writing sports to like kind of reporting it, and then even now doing a podcast, which is I guess more freedom in that than just you reporting the way you would in the writing structure or radio.
Yeah, I think like anything, I've also adapted, and radio and podcasting has become a huge platform. The newspaper isn't as popular as it used to be. Obviously, there's still very good writers out there who report and do like sideline reporting and write columns and things like that. But right now, everybody's always looking at their phone, but they don't want to be looking at their phone and not be able to do something else at the same time. So I think
Right.
that's why I kind of more transition to the radio and podcast aspect of it, because you can still hear my opinion while you're on Facebook or while you're on Instagram or
Right.
whatever you're doing. So, but I do still like to write. I wrote an article recently, but during the MLB playoffs, so I do still try. Oh, sorry, the NBA playoffs in the bubble. So I do still try and write because I don't want to get too rusty. I took a break for a while, and I really want to pick that back up. But that's
Right.
really more the
Keep your
reason why
sword
I have.
sharp.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's why I did. But that's why I did transition more into the radio podcast thing.
Okay. So tell me more about your podcast. I think you also have a co-host sometimes, right? If he's not, I don't know if he's still on the show.
Yes. So it's the Snooze Lose podcast. We usually drop every Monday. Right now we're doing about 2 to 3 episodes a month. Comes out every Monday, and I did have a co-host on there, my man Ron the Don, somebody I grew up with. And just like I was saying before I started, me and Ron the Don are still close. That's my brother, but time waits for nobody, and I just felt like we had different directions, so I kept it going. So I've been doing this solo by myself for about the last 2-3 months,
Okay.
and it's still going well. The numbers are still looking good, and we still still try and have guests on from time to time.
Right.
But right now I'm just rocking it solo.
That's dope. And hopefully, more sports picks up so you can give more advice on gambling, because it's amazing that so many avenues you can do with sports. It's like it provides so many
Yeah,
possibility of jobs and stuff. So I definitely
we
hope that
had
picks up.
obviously that drought from COVID, March to July, we didn't really have anything going on besides like soccer and tennis and stuff like that. But since July, I mean, literally every sport has been on. I mean, the NBA just finished, but you've had baseball, you had hockey, you had NBA. Now you got football, you got college football even going. So we've been extremely busy in the last few months with everything back up and running.
Right. What's one of the the last few books you read that you really enjoyed that you would recommend to those listening or watching if it's on YouTube?
The last book I read, mm, I would say, you might have me stumped. I'm not even sure. I have to really think about that. Um,
I probably should have said this in our pre-rehearsal real quick just to
yeah,
let you know my
I'm
fault.
not even sure. I don't even want to lie to the people. I'm not even sure on that one. Even with myself, I'm just like a big podcast guy now myself too. So I don't even couldn't really tell you the last time I really sat down and really fully read one beginning to end.
Mhm.
Um, I
All right, so let me rephrase the question then. What's one of your favorite books of all time that you've completed that you feel like that's a good book? If I ever get a chance, I'll reread that.
okay. Tuesdays with Maury, Mitch
Yeah,
Albom.
that's what made me want to write.
Yeah, I love that book.
And
Great author.
you know why?
Movie was
It's
decent.
right. The book is much better. But what I
Yeah.
loved about that book is that he wrote in such a simplistic way
Right.
that it
Yeah.
makes you feel like you can write too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the thought and the complex of what was happening inside the story was deep.
And he was a sports analyst too. He used to be on a
Yeah,
show on
Mitch
Sundays.
Albom, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
He even wrote the Fab Five book. That's
Yeah.
like and gave them no money. So, but that's a story for another day.
That's how it be, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's always looking out for themselves.
absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's how it be.
No, absolutely. So no, Tuesday with Morrie was definitely a great story, and I recommend anybody that's in the reading a good true story with a warm stories
Right. Right.
for the heart. Tuesday with
Yeah.
Morrie is definitely a recommended book for me too. That's for sure. So with that being said, let me just check my notes to see if there's any more good questions I have. Sorry about that. You have any projections for the college football season? I knew I was about to miss something.
For NCAA football,
Yeah.
it's so tough to call because of COVID.
Hmm.
Right now, I mean, I I wouldn't bet against Clemson. They still look like the number one team. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to try and win a chip before he heads out. You can never count Alabama, but that defense has looked suspect so far. It's only been a few weeks, but Nick Saban does get his teams there all the time. But if I had to make a decision right now, I would ride with Clemson still. I think they're still the best team in the nation. Dabo Sweeney, another great coach. Trevor Lawrence trying to go out with a bang before he heads to the NFL. So I like the Clemson Tigers.
Do you think they have the best recruiting classes now, or you think Alabama still has that on a gridlock?
I think I'm gonna still go with Bama. I don't think it's as far of a gap as it was
Right.
before, uh, but I think Bama still does have the best recruiting class.
Because there was a time when Clemson looked like the big dogs in the ACC, but when they got to the SEC,
Right,
they looked
exactly.
like they
It's a
used to
whole
look like
different
they were
ballgame.
some JV
Yeah,
basketball,
a whole different world. Yeah, but that comes with coaching. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Dabo's not only built the culture there, but when you get in front of these kids and you sell them on that dream, and
Right.
it sounds good, make them change their mind.
I feel like that's like the best wide receiver school in quite some time. Like they've
Yeah,
always had a good wide receiver group. While Alabama's like a running back school, kind of like I feel like
yeah.
Clemson's kind of like the cool wide receiver school for sure. So, how did you feel? Even though this might not come out for a few weeks, how did you feel about the championship with the Lakers winning it, hoisting it? Is that what you had from the beginning of your predictions for the gambling season for the NBA or no?
Yeah, we said on the podcast numerous times I thought it was gonna be the Lakers. Even when before the final started, my prediction was Lakers in 6. They actually should have did it in 5, but they pulled it off in 6. I I've said numerous times too, I don't understand the hate for LeBron James. I always tell people, listen, he doesn't have to be your favorite player. You can like Jordan more, you can like Kobe more, but
Right.
what he's doing, you're never gonna see again in our lifetime and your kids' lifetime, your kids' kids. You're never gonna see somebody dominate and go to the finals that many consecutive times in both conferences. It's just not gonna happen again.
With 3 different franchises,
Yeah, it's crazy. So
and one
that
of them being very sorry, for sure.
yeah. So I always tell people that I understand, like, you can love Kobe more, you can love Jordan more, Shaq. My favorite player is Allen Iverson. You know, you could love whoever you want to love, but to just always find a way to discredit and limit what he's done is just sad, because you're just missing greatness right before your eyes. I mean,
Right.
we're gonna, when he's gone, we're gonna miss it.
And I think people got to realize he still got 4. I don't care how many times he took an L.
Right.
Jerry West went almost 11 years and got humiliated every time when it came to Bill Russell for the most part.
Some guys were killed for one, man.
Right. You know what's interesting is that Allen Iverson is the one person who you forget he didn't win a championship, but it feels like he won a championship.
Right, yeah. He won it in our hearts.
right. You can't say that about Charles Barkley. Like, we all know you ain't gonna
win.
But like Allen Iverson, T-Mac feels like he could have got one if Grant Hill was there, so we kind of like let him slide of like, all right, maybe they could have had a chance.
Yeah.
Where with Barkley, you don't feel the same way when he's brought up of not having the ring the way AI or T-Mac.
You know, too, and then I always see people talk about, you know, put an asterisk near the title and everything like that. And I've said too on the show that if you're gonna put an asterisk, you should put 2 asterisks near it, because it wasn't easy for anyone. It wasn't, you know, being away from your family, being locked down, not be able to go out. You know, most of these guys are mega stars. You know, they're used to going to clubs and fancy restaurants and, you know, whining and dining and everything like that, and being with their families and side pieces and everything like that.
Right.
And to have all that shut down, I know the crowd makes a difference. Even like I was saying, the Nuggets, I think that's going to be another great team next year, because when you have to go play in Denver in that altitude, it's a way different playing field.
Right. What I respect about Denver and a lot of the teams is like you got to see who's really meant to be in the NBA, because the role players had no distractions.
Nothing.
So therefore, you could see their skill set actually elevate almost to like a bigger star.
And you saw a lot of guys crumble. You saw
like House from the Texas Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
House, it's like, yo, you got a wife at home, I think, and you over here trying to mess with the COVID woman. It's like you're doing too much.
Yeah.
And so it's just you get to see discipline at its finest in the bubble compared to
and that's why I was always saying that the Lakers was going to pull it off, because no one has that type of mindset compared to LeBron James.
Right.
Not even close. Not even close. And the fact that he got time to heal up too and get healthier.
Yeah, he got 5 months.
Right. There was no way that he wasn't going to bring that one home. I think he had to. He couldn't let this opportunity slip away.
Absolutely. So what I usually like to also ask, since you're getting back into writing again, and you are a writer. Once you write, you're always a writer. What are some tips you can give the public?
I think always the biggest thing that people always struggle with is the criticism. You got to be able to take the criticism, because nowadays we live in such cancel culture and everything else, where when somebody gives somebody criticism, it's always hate. You know, it might not have been your best piece. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone can't be a top seller or, you know, amazing or whatever like that. Sometimes there's flaws. So you got to be able to take that criticism and then improve on it. Forget next piece you write. You don't want to just write something trying to show everybody up that said it wasn't good. You just want to get better every time.
And I think also, if it's somebody that you kind of know, reach out to them and be like, what do you not like about it? And if they don't have a good answer, that means they just wanted to say it just to say it. They don't, like, some people opinions ain't worth nothing. Like, sometimes you got to just take it with a grain of salt. And if you feel like it was wrong before you got it, and then somebody said some of the same things you were thinking, then you know, all right, I got to improve on that because I wasn't.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
So that's great advice. Take the criticism, but take it with a grain of salt, I guess is the caveat with that.
Yeah, also, like, know who you're asking to. Like, you know, everybody's opinion doesn't count. But some people, you know, like you just said, take it with a grain of salt. Like, some people's opinion does matter, and don't take it just as hate or jealousy or anything like that. It might not have been that good.
So, since we're doing sports mainly today, what are your top 5 athletes of all time?
Whew. Top 5 of all time. I mean,
that might have been even. Yes. Okay.
Michael Jordan. Okay, I'm trying to think of all sport. Cal Ripken Jr. I just think being an Iron Man, really never missing a game, be out there all the
Cal
time.
Ripken is a legend because I don't know much about him, but I know he always had like a kid's novel book about him, and he was still playing at that time, and like, yeah.
The other two, I mean, he's not the greatest athlete in the world, but he's definitely the most like dominant player I've ever seen. So I'm gonna go with Shaq. Like he's, Shaq's not gonna do no crazy between the legs thing, but his dominance was unmatched. From college to his pro career. And my fifth one, I'm gonna go with my man Tony Hawk.
That's different. I was not expecting to hit Tony Hawk. What makes you pick Tony Hawk, if you don't mind me asking? Just because he revolutionized the game of skateboarding?
Absolutely, man. He was fearless. He's a good dude, good family man. His video games are legendary. We all played them.
That's true.
And yeah, it was different.
Yeah. You know who mentality I try to use, since I can never be the athlete he was, is Kobe Bryant when it comes to writing.
Yeah.
I try to wake up early, get my writing done,
Yeah.
read some books, get back to writing. Like I try to do what he did from a mental standpoint, because that's as much as I can take it. I don't know if I could like do what he did physically
like that
to his
too.
body.
I mean, not so much. He's not an athlete, but even like Eminem, like people always tell stories about Eminem, like how he treated music as a job. Like Eminem when he recorded and he wrote, he did it from 9 to 5. Like he really took lunch breaks and he worked 9 to 5. And, like he's not in the studio at 2 a.m. coming up with verses. He treated it literally like a job, and I think that's why he was one of the best.
I think that also it's just a level of discipline. I think with writing any type of medium that you're trying to get into, it starts with discipline. You gotta just be disciplined. You gotta find what works for you and what's available to you at the time. You don't need the best equipment to get started at least, but eventually, when you get the time, you can do the things that everyone else does for sure. So to end the podcast, we usually do a quote of the week and a lyric of the week. So the quote of the week is, you can always edit a bad page, but you can't edit a blank page. And I think that quote, I know it's from a famous author. I forgot to write down the name, so I apologize. But with that quote, it's just true with everything. You got to start to see where it could possibly finish. You can't leave anything to just say, I'm going to do it and then not do it. Same thing with writing. You got to sit in the chair and actually write. Same thing with a podcast. You got to press record, hear your voice, get through it, hate your voice, fix it, do whatever you can, and get through it. It's just sitting down and doing the work. No matter good or bad, you can always fix it a little bit later. Do you have anything to say about the like those thoughts of
quote? That's an incredible quote, because you can't get better if you don't try. That's literally what that means. You can't get better if you don't try. You got to try. You can't be afraid to fail. And that's the only way you're going to know what your strengths are and your weaknesses are.
Absolutely. And we also do like lyrics of the week, because I think everything that we do, we need like a soundtrack of good writing. And that comes from today, Sam Cooke from A Change Is Gonna Come. So I'm going to read the lyrics, and then at the end, if I don't get flagged, I'll put part of the song in the podcast. So lyric of the week, Sam Cooke. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, because I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh yes, it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Oh yes, it will. Then I go to my brother and say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there have been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. The reason why I picked that is because of just all the things we're going through with it, not only the pandemic, but just the lack of empathy that I think Blacks are receiving sometimes in the country when it comes to the riots and everything. those lyrics ring true for that, but also just the mind state of somebody writing that in the '60s, and for that to still be the problem today. I thought it was very poignant.
Yeah.
To see how that writing is still very beautiful today, especially when you hear with the chords and actual singing. It's it's very deep, and I just want to share that with the people that even with your dreams, the change will come if it's going to be a long time coming, but if you keep at it, you keep working hard, things will change for sure. As it has for me and James, just working our butts off at our crafts. And we're now finally seeing dividends, and I hope you guys will start your path and do the same.
Absolutely, man. Great original song by Otis Redding. Sam Cooke did his thing. I don't know if you've ever heard the version too with Charles Hamilton, Asher Roth, and B.O.B.
I might have. I got to double check that for
They
sure.
jumped on that too. But yeah, it's unfortunate that a lot of things that did happen when our parents were kids are still happening
Right,
now. And it's sad. And I hope that everyone's eyes have finally opened and to go out and do their part.
right,
Make vote obviously too, but not just vote for the presidential election. Make sure you're voting in your local communities for your state
right,
officials, things like that, because that's really where the change happens. Because whoever is elected in the White House isn't in your neighborhood every day.
right,
So it's sad. We got to keep moving forward though. We can't keep using certain things as an excuse or a crutch.
right.
We have to fight past it and stay headstrong.
And read what your local officials are trying to do, and then write to them if you
Right.
don't like it. It's
Yeah.
it's a got to do it all. But that's Americana Quill, writer to writer. I want to thank you again, James, for being a great guest.
Absolutely, man. It was a pleasure. And anytime. I hope the podcast blows up and I'll definitely be tuning in.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right.